Hey there, YouTube. I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope the week is off to a good start for you. It was a chilly weekend here in South Alabama, and I'm always bundled up here in the house. I think I've mentioned it before because we don't use the heat very much. We use it like when it really gets down low. We'll turn it on for a few minutes in the morning, but mostly we don't use it. So that's why I stay bundled up until about noon here. But anyhow, today I want to talk about two very different approaches to a raw vegan diet. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate if you go down there right now, hit that little subscribe button, then click the little bell and check send notifications so you will stay subscribed to the channel. Now I'm just going to talk about two different approaches to this. Listen, if you've never noticed before, when it comes to talking about this stuff, I am not emotional like most people. I don't get all passionate and I don't get all weepy, and I kind of do me, and I just like share the information that I find pertinent to myself so maybe somebody else can use it. But yeah, I'm never going to get upset by how somebody else eats. It really, I'm very different like that. Like people say, well, I don't eat like that. Well, don't eat like that. If you don't agree with me, find things that you resonate with and double down on them. That's just my 2 cents on that anyway. But two very different approaches to a raw vegan diet. And I just see, like, there are some people, they actually make it on both versions, but I just see one that just is so, in my opinion, is so full of pitfalls that I'm just kind of glad I didn't fall into that trap from the beginning, although I dabbled a little bit. And that one, we'll talk about that one first, which is not my approach whatsoever. And that is the one that comes to restricting, juicing all the time, don't really eat a lot. It's just, and there's not a lot of good information behind it. It's a lot, like I say, it's a lot more emotional. It's a lot more feeling. It's very limited and it's very restricted. And when I say it's very restricted, it's not just, it's restrictive in two ways. It's restrictive in like calories and the volume of food that people are taking in. And it's restricted in variety, which is polar opposite of the way I do the way I eat and the way I'm going to stay on until something, happens that makes me think otherwise. Like I said, when I first got into this lifestyle about 10 years ago, you're cruising around on YouTube, watching videos, learning about things, this and that. And I did dabble just a little bit. And I bought a juicer right off the bat. And I did juice. Now, I didn't totally buy in on this living on juice. But I did probably go a little overboard on the juicing part of it at first, and I was so focused on that. It wasn't necessarily like I was saying, okay, I can't eat or I shouldn't eat this, or I was trying to eat less, but I just put so much time into juicing. I spent so many hours every day, preparing juices, that like probably one of my meals of the day was juicing, which wasn't getting me a lot of calories. And I just, in general, I was just eating, I was eating mostly fruit, which I still eat a lot of fruit. I'm not on the fruitarian camp myself, even though I've gone back and forth with that. And I eat a high amount of fruit. When I get back eventually to the tropics, I'll even eat more fruit. But I'm just a little bit more about balance. So that restrictive, that always being on a cleanse, always being on a fast, just that kind of approach has never resonated with me. It just intuitively never just really made a lot of sense to me. Getting in nutrition, focusing on our nutrition. To so many people that are doing a raw vegan diet, nutrition is almost like a dirty word. They're just like, oh, we don't need that, man. We just eat some fruit, a little bit of this and that. We do a cleanse, we do a fast, we say a couple of chants, and we're all good. And like I say, if that's your thing, go find somebody that's their modality, or that's what they espouse. Follow them. Do exactly what they do. But I'm going to warn you about something. Usually all these people that leave the vegan lifestyle and actually usually become so anti, and they talk about how bad the raw vegan diet is, and then they even go a step further and they talk about how a whole food plant-based diet is dangerous and a vegan diet is dangerous. It's usually those people. It's usually those people. It's usually those people that are always on a fast, always feasting, always doing another cleanse. They never learn how to eat. And as I've said many, many times on here, you're not going to live on the fast. You're not going to live on a juice cleanse. You're not going to live long term on restricted calories. And also too, I'll throw a little something else out there. I've told you guys before, I don't really do the community thing online because, pardon my language, but that's just a shit show. All the community stuff online, like the groups and the things like that, are just in forums or just people arguing. It's not people actually trying to share knowledge. It's just people arguing and screaming at each other over and over. But in these restrictive type groups, and from the people that follow a lot of your restrictive type gurus, I did used to do groups. I used to join groups. In fact, I'm still connected to a number of really good people that I like, that I met in groups like 7, maybe 8 years ago. And we've kept up with each other. And a lot of us are not in groups anymore, but maybe 1 or 2 still keep their toe in, just so they can kind of keep their fingers on the pulse of what's going on. And I kind of do that myself through other people. I'm constantly hearing about, and somebody will tell me, hey, did you hear about so-and-so? I'm like, no, what happened? They're dead. Now let that sink in a minute. They're dead. Every single year, and it's usually not some big name person, so that's not why it's like way widely out there. But almost every year since I've been doing this lifestyle, I'll hear that through the grapevine, through somebody telling me, hey, did you hear it? Did you see about that person in such and such group that died? Hey, did you hear about that person? Do you know so and so? And a few of the names I've actually known. Did you know so and so is dead now? And I'm like, wow. And it always, it's one from those groups. Now, and like I say, this is just coming from my personal experience, what people have told me, my personal knowledge. But it's not hearsay. I do know the person is indeed dead, and they were indeed doing this version of a raw vegan diet. Always comes from those restrictive and those kind of cultish type groups and thought processes. It never turns out to be somebody that's eating a whole food plant-based diet. It never seems to turn out to be one of these people that's like focused on nutrition, focused on getting a variety in their diet, and like actually thinking about, I need these vitamins, I need this, what might I be deficient in. But they just don't worry about all that. It's almost kind of like this quasi-religious belief, like, let's just eat fruit and somehow our body will vibrate into healthiness. So, like I say, I just think it's for me. And hey, once again, this channel is always just my opinion. I'm not that smart of a guy, but you somehow clicked on the video. So, like I say, just take it, don't take it. Take it, move on if it's something else that you're looking for. But I'm always going to go the more reasonable approach. I'm going to go the variety. I like a lot of fruit. I'm not anti-fruit, so I kind of don't fit in any group there, because like a lot of the people that are strictly the whole food plant-based, whether they're raw or whether they're cooked, fruit's not a big part of their program. Fruit's still a huge part of my program, especially certain times of the year when I'm getting more mangoes and I'm getting more tropical stuff. But it's always going to be, fruit might be a base, but greens are always going to be a strong base. I'm always going to have my big salads. I'm always going to have my kale. When I was in the tropics, and I'm really trying, I was actually looking at some space where I'm trying to kind of get a small grow area going. I would like to get even more variety within my greens, because I'm mostly kale since I've been here in the States. I'd like to even mix that up. Microgreens, all those different colors, but I just believe we need a wide variety. And that just kind of goes back to the restricting part. We need to get, like, when we're getting the adequate amount of calories that our body requires and we're not restricting, by getting that large amount of calories, we have a better chance of getting all the vitamins, minerals, macronutrients that we need within our body. And when we work on eating the amount we need, and also making that amount like very diverse, a lot of different colors, a lot of different various fruits and vegetables in there, that's so good for our microbiome, which also when we have a strong microbiome, Our immune system is generally stronger. So yeah, when you're eating the variety of different things you need, the fruits, the greens, the sprouts. That's why I'm a big proponent of mixing. And not even if you still want to be fully raw, when I say mixing aspects of cooked versus aspects of raw, you can still take things like what I consider really important tenets of a plant-based diet that some people might do cook, like the legumes. I'm beating around the bush there. I believe we need legumes in our diet. If you're not go, if you're totally you're not going to cook, I don't eat any cooked food. Sprout, 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 sprout. I'll keep saying that over and over and over. Sprout those lentils, but I think we need the legumes in there, and that's the cornerstone of how I eat. And that's why, hey, I feel good after 10 years. This diet is not a miracle. I mean, I also kind of got out of this early on of trying to obsess over being perfect. Because like, I've been reading a little bit about that in the book Letting Go, is when we, like, healthy habits, there's a line of diminishing returns, and I'm about to finish up here. When we obsess over every little thing, it kind of creates worry in our mind. So I just like try to use as much common sense as possible when it comes to eating like this. And if you really are honest with yourself and you take in all the information, usually if you have two choices, one choice is going to just, whether you know that much about the actual science of it, whether you're new to it, whether whatever. When you're presented with two choices, a good percentage of the time, one's going to jump out at your common sense. One's going to intuitively be like, okay, this just makes a lot more sense. So that's what I'm always going to recommend. If you don't do it like I do, God bless you, I love you anyway. But I'm always going to recommend eating, being filled, not always sitting around hungry, because you can do it for a while, and some people do. Some people can even do it for 2 or 3 years. But when you're restricting long term, that builds up, and eventually you're just going to go the other way, and that's when people fall off the wagon hard. Then they get off this lifestyle completely, gain 100 pounds, and then, oh well. But anyhow, just my 2 cents worth on this. Like I say, all of this is just my opinion. I have no qualifications in anything. So hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you here again tomorrow or Wednesday. Peace.